Ready to save hundreds of dollars in flights? Maybe you don't know it yet, but booking flights is a game. And just like any other game, there are winners and there are losers. Time and time again, I've been able to find flights for incredibly low prices. Sometimes so low, I think the airlines might even be losing money. Like, I have no idea how I could buy a €5 plane ticket from Madrid, Spain to Tangier, Morocco, the country I'm in right now. That's an international flight for €5. Not our problem, just our win. So in this video, I'm going to explain why you are always overpaying for your flights and wasting your money. Welcome to LYKSALWEA, the place to learn how to live and travel better. Whenever you want to book a flight, there are a lot of variables at play. So many it may almost seem overwhelming to book. I like to categorize these variables into who, what, where, when, why, and how. And the overall strategy here is the more variables you can leave undefined, the cheaper your flights are going to be. Alright, let's jump in with our first category so you can stop wasting money. How? I think how might be the most important category. How you're getting to where you want to go. One of the most common excuses I've heard from people who end up paying more on their flight than they should is that, Michael, but I just don't want to fly on a budget airline, okay? This is the most ridiculous claim I've ever heard. I gave a presentation to NASA at the NASA Langley Research Center about how the future of aviation markets will change, so I spent a lot of time learning about the aviation market. Budget airlines have some of the lowest turnaround times of any airline, so they hate delays even more than you do. They also have the newest aircraft of all airlines because they're the most fuel efficient, require the least amount of maintenance, and are thus cheaper to operate. According to Simple Flying, Spirit Airlines, one of the largest low-cost air carriers in the Americas, was ranked 3rd in punctuality. You're in a newer plane and are more likely to get there on time. The second excuse I've heard for people not wanting to take budget airlines is that you can only bring a personal item without having to pay extra, and thus you can't bring as many things. I made an entire video about all of the strategies that I use to pack way more than what's allowed into a carry-on into just a personal item in this video here. So be sure to check that out if you're interested in it. The second reason for why you're overpaying for flights in the how category is not wanting to take layovers. I understand not wanting to spend 1 or 2 extra hours of time by having a layover, but by having a layover, you often save tons of money. If you're worrying about wasting time by having a layover, plan ahead and give yourself something productive you can do on the plane without cell connection. For instance, homework or preparing for a presentation. You won't even notice the extra time lost by having a layover. Another way you're potentially overpaying for flights is with parking, and especially if you live in the US and Canada. A lot of people consider this the base of how they travel and get around, but parking prices can easily add up if you're there for multiple days. At Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, parking prices range from $4.50 to $27 per day. $27 is more than I spend on most nights in lodging, so that's insane. But even a 10-day trip on the cheapest rate is still $45. If you can, take public transit to the airport. If not, have a friend or family member drive you to the airport. If still not, drive partway to a friend or family member's house and then Uber from there. If you can't do any of those, then Uber or Lyft to the airport. And finally, if you have none of those options that work for you, drive to the airport early and park in a farther away spot so you can get the cheaper rates. The last how strategy is to stop buying things at the airport because they're so much more expensive there than anywhere else. If you wake up early to go to the airport, you can easily feel like you should treat yourself by buying a meal or a snack, but plan ahead and pack food so you don't have those urges. A $15 or $20 meal at the airport is expensive and further drives up the price of your travels. These are the strategies for how to travel. Alright, now let's talk about where to travel to, which you might think is the most important category of all of the variables. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the more flexible you can be, the more money you'll save. If you want to go to exactly one place right now, then you have fewer options if you're deciding between, say, 3 different places. Make a list of the places you want to travel to and keep an eye out for the prices of those flights. The more destinations you have available to choose from, the more flights will be available for you, and the higher chance you'll be able to find one that's a steal. I made an entire video about how to choose where to travel to next. so be sure to check out that video if you're interested. Also, if you happen to see insanely cheap plane tickets to a destination you never thought about going to, be open to the experience. Sometimes I let the price of a plane ticket decide where I'm going to, and I often have great adventures. So now you know more of where you should go, now let's talk about when you should go. Similar to where, the more flexible dates and flexible times of day you have, the more available flights you can choose from, and the higher chance you'll find a great deal on your next plane ticket. If you're restricted by when you can travel based on work or school, see if you can put some out-of-office time on your calendar and just make it up later.
See if you can skip a class and watch a recording or just get notes from a friend.
I've skipped class for cheaper plane tickets quite a few times. Sorry, Mom. And my grades have still been totally fine. Another popular excuse I've heard from friends is that they don't want to take red-eye or late-night flights. But Michael, I don't want to wake up early. Set your alarm 1 hour early and save those $20. Come on, that's like 1 extra hour of work you use just to sleep in.
That could also be a night of lodging. I'm paying quite a bit less than that right now for lodging here in Morocco.
The one caveat I will say with this is that if you see a super cheap late night ticket, you will have to pay for housing that night. And even if the plane ticket for the next morning is a little bit more expensive, maybe you don't have to pay for that lodging if you're coming for home. So these are just some things you should factor in for all of the price included. I know, believe me, it can be so satisfying to book a plane ticket for less than $10, but you gotta think about the overall price of your trip and see if it still makes financial sense for you. Alright, now you know where you're going, when you're going, and how you're getting there. Let's talk about what you're gonna do. If you're flying somewhere specifically for an event like Lollapalooza, your plane tickets are going to be more expensive than if the event wasn't there. Another reason you're overpaying for flights is that you refuse to mix travel modes. Sometimes it can be way cheaper to fly into or out of a nearby city. For instance,
when I was traveling from Madrid to Luxembourg, I took a bus to Barcelona and then flew to Luxembourg, saving a ton of money.
A lot of people don't want to do this because it takes time and energy, but if you're really looking to save money, this is a must-do strategy. Doing this opens up so many travel options, and that really can be overwhelming. This is a subject of a completely different video, one that I'll be making later, so make sure to subscribe to stay tuned to other content that you can use to make sure you save more money, and you're actually getting best prices for all of your flights. Alright, now let's talk about why you're traveling.
If you're going to have a beach vacation, maybe don't choose the first option that comes to mind. There are so many destinations for all types of trips, so be open to traveling somewhere a little less traditional.
A tool I like to use for this is Kayak, to where you can choose different destinations specifically on your goal using the Explore mode. Alright, finally, I want to talk about who is traveling. Let's have a little advice sit-down session. So many people, especially in the US and Canada, are just used to paying more for flights. Maybe you were raised that way or just haven't seen cheaper options, but I promise this is a game and you can find flights for as cheap as $20, $10, or even just $5. Try to imagine booking flights as a challenge that you can win. Also, the more people you travel with, the more complicated your plans are going to be and the fewer options you have when traveling. If you're traveling with more kids, it's even more restrictive. Keep these thoughts in the back of your head when you plan for travel. Now you know how you're getting to your destination, where you're going to go, when you're going to go, what you're going to do, and why you're going. So hopefully you have a better understanding of the whole overall process. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Start to question exactly just how much you're paying for flights and are more open to using some of the strategies in this video. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe for more content and to help support a small travel creator. See ya.